Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Teleislas News, to the most important news of the day. The prosecution office made a visit to the archipelago where several areas of the island were inspected, a situation that caused concern to the control entity due to the situation observed. For this reason, today the Attorney General's office made a special call to the local government and other entities of San Andres.
The Attorney General Office asks the National Unit for Disaster Risk Management, the departmental government, and Coralina to pay special attention to coastal erosion on the beaches, which has increased after the passage of Hurricane Iota. The control entity requested the establishment for a special action and conservation plan for these areas. It also requested to study the possibility of recollecting the houses that are in risk zones due to this problem. The Attorney General Office recalled that San Andres is the department most vulnerable to the effect of climate change and called for the articulated work between the authorities that must be ensure the protection and conservation of the ecosystems of the archipelago, which at national and international level is recognized by its declaration as a seafloor biosphere reserve.
The commander of the police department gave an overview of the criminal acts that occurred during the weekend.
Good evening, Lisa and all the TV viewers. I say hello from here from the Departmental Police, because this morning in a press conference, the Colonel Marielena Gomez talked about the different criminal acts that took place this end of the week. One of them is the attack of some uniformed personnel in the sector of the cliff.
El fin de semana, exactamente el día de ayer.
Over the weekend, exactly yesterday, Sunday, around the 18th hour, some police units that are fulfilling a surveillance work in the Cliff neighborhood received an attack by some criminal actors of said neighborhood. A padlock plan was carried out and the capture of a minor and the seizure of a firearm was achieved.
Also, the colonel mentioned that yesterday in the San Luis sector, one of the uniformed personnel were also attacked while they was making a registration and control in the sector.
El día de ayer, particularmente hoy en la madrugada.
Yesterday, particularly in the early morning, today we had a case in which there was an injury by a person who was partying in the San Luis sector and who was in a state of physical and psychological distress, and under the effect of alcoholic beverages, he assaulted a police officer. This person was captured and placed at the disposal of the authorities for attacking a public servant.
This is all the information we report from here from the town of the island. Continue listening to studio with more information.
And in other news, the commander of the police department gave an overview of the criminal acts that occurred during the weekend.
This September 6 is the deadline for the registration of the documents to vote in the elections of the Youth Council, which will allow young people between the ages of 14 and 28 to elect and be elected for this body of dialogue with local government and district. Let us remember that the National Electoral Council, by unanimous decision of its plenary chamber, decided that the election of the Youth Council will also be held in the archipelago of San Andres, Providence, and Queclina. This decision arose due to the discomfort expressed by the inhabitants of the island and the local authorities of the department, in addition to meeting the request made by the Presidential Counselor for Youth, Juan Sebastian Arango, against the law that regulates this call and that excluded the archipelago to participate in this electoral appointment because it is limited only to the municipalities. In our central broadcast, we'll expand this news with the balance of this last day of registration.
Yes, the information we see a while ago is about the Register Office released the list with the number of candidates registered in the two islands. And as we continue with other news, a young man died of immersion in the past days despite the care provided by doctors.
11 lists were approved by the National Electoral Registration Office in the department, 3 lists as independent with 19 candidates registered, 5 lists as movement and or political parties with 35 candidates, and 3 lists as processes or organizational practices with 20 candidates, giving a total of 74 candidates registered by the Youth Council elections. In the independent sector, the list Jóvenes Proactivos, Raise Up Youth, and Youth for a New Providence are registered. As political parties and or movements are the Colombian Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, and the Radical Change Party. As processes or organizational practices are Santa Catalina Community Action Board, Quality of Community Action Board, Guinea Hen 6th Stage, and One Risal Corporation. It is also important to remind to the community that the election was scheduled for November 28 and will now be on December 5.
And a young man died of inmersion in the past days despite care provided by doctors.
On Friday, 2 young men were admitted to the departmental hospital with signs of decompression while diving. One of them died by immersion after apparently running out of oxygen. In this regard, Teleislas News spoke with medical personnel at the hospital who gave details about the condition of admission of these 2 people.
At approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 male patients were admitted due to decompression while diving. One was admitted in a very bad general condition with intoxication and the other in regular condition. Medical treatment was started, and due to the condition and severity of the injuries, he had to be transferred to the ICU. However, he had complications and later died. The other patient is in very regular condition with hyperbaric chamber management, trying to improve his condition.
A recreational and health day was successfully conducted in the cocal sector, led by the government secretariat, where inhabitants and children of this sector were assisted.
With recreational activities, general medicine, dental service, growth and development, psychological support, vaccination, among others, a recreational day was held in the cocal sector on Saturday, September 4th. The inhabitants show satisfaction according to the government secretary, Kayan Howard.
We give a positive assessment of this activity. Obviously, the community needs a lot of support from the government, from the different entities, and also from the private sector. The departmental government, headed by Governor Everett Harkins, tries to bring social programs to each of the sectors, but also private companies can contribute their grain of sand. To help these vulnerable sectors, specifically, we are working with children and young people from 0 to 18 years old, trying to keep them between respect and healthy coexistence.
The secretary stated that these activities will continue to be held in the different sectors of the island.
Vaccinations against COVID-19 in adolescents between 12 and 17 years of age without comorbidity is progressing positively in San Andres.
With an estimated 250 youth people without comorbidities as the target population to be vaccinated against COVID-19, the second day oriented to the population in San Andres was developed with satisfactory results.
This is the second day we have opened for young people without comorbidity between 12 and 17 years old. Approximately 20 days ago, we developed a vaccination session with young people without comorbidity between 15 and 17 years of age. So far, thank God, the young people have had an excellent response to this type of action against COVID, and they have widely attended the hospital here to receive their first dose of vaccine against COVID.
The coordinator stressed that the island is on the right track with vaccine to continue the process of application of first and second doses. In this way, the flow continues among the islanders close to completing the vaccination schedule against the COVID-19 virus.
Responsible pet ownership and the eradication of animal abuse continue to be the subject campaigns that seeks to raise awareness in the island society about the importance of providing animal welfare on the island.
In order to provide useful information to the community and strengthen knowledge about the importance of raising awareness about the care and responsibility of pet owners, pet keepers, and society in general with the welfare of animals on the island, the Pro Archipelago Foundation, together with the departmental government and the National Police, are conducting a campaign against animal abuse.
It has been occurring not only in this sector, but in many sectors of the island, abuse against animals. The idea is to encourage people to understand that animals are also living beings, and these living beings also need respect, love, and affection. And what better than if when they get into trouble that we, the people, are the ones who try to solve and through the competent authorities for this purpose, so that we continue protecting animals, so that we continue caring for them with love as if they were a child or a person more of our families. In this way, we will surely achieve the balance that we are looking for in nature.
Arroyo Newell stressed that the responsibility to protect domestic and wild animals is a collective responsibility of society. In this sense, we must become aware that the life of an animal is as valuable as our own, and that therefore we must respect them whenever we live or share space with them. It is also important for the community to report any behavior or conduct that threatens the environment or natural resources and the integrity of animals to the 123 hotline.
And now let's learn about other events that are making news in our brief news sections of today.
During this weekend, the Vice Minister of Environment, Francisco Cruz, together with directors of national parks Codechoco, Coralina, and other environmental entities, launched the workshop of the project 1 Million Corals for Colombia, which aims to intervene in 200 areas with the planting of corals, which will help to counteract the negative actions of climate change. In order to attract more visitors to the Creole Culture Square, the Secretariat of Tourism is promoting a day of ornamentation and beautification with which it seeks to recover and restore the natural beauty of the elements that adorn the site.
And we continue with the weather forecast for today. The weather forecast for today, September 6th, in the coastal area of the archipelago, the sky is mainly cloudy. Temperature is 29 degrees Celsius with winds from the northeast direction, with intensities of 23 km per hour. Humidity forecast is of 81% and probability of precipitation is of 90%.